is that A, I only had sunglasses in my car because, that's the place where you keep sunglasses. And two, as I was walking out of the garage, I heard a loud bang, and I assumed it was my computer hitting the ground. And in fact, it was. So there's that. I didn't even come back because I was like, hey, what happened. If this thing's broken, this thing's broken. Welcome. I'm old James Dupuy. This is Super Death Grind, episode 8.7, week 8, day 7 of a Super Death Grind for 2 years. I'm sitting in my sauna because this is where I sit on Sundays. And I'm wearing sunglasses not because I'm hungover, which I don't think I am, but I'm wearing sunglasses because my webcam is mounted to the sconce of my light fixture in my sauna, and it is literally blinding to look in any direction of the camera. So this isn't because I'm not cool, which I assure you I am not cool. It is an easy 85 degrees in my sauna right now because the ambient temperature is set to the house's ambient temperature, and the heat retention in here is bar none amazing. So there's all those things going for me. But welcome very much. So we had a first failed attempt. Hopefully you saw that. Hopefully you got to listen to the Mood James Kennedy remix because it is one of my current jams. Well, welcome. We're just talking about Super Death Grind. Basically, I'm giving my synopsis as it pertains to life, as it pertains to anything I see fit for the Super Death Grind, what it is like to grind viciously hard for 2 years of your life. So just to recap some things I'm doing, currently doing a dopamine detox. I may have to just strip naked. I'm not going to lie. It is getting toasty in here. I'm from Alaska. Why am I wearing my moccasins? That's not going to serve me well. I'm from Alaska, man. I like the cold. I like it a lot. So basically, I'm just talking lesson learned. So some things I'm doing right now, I'm doing a dopamine detox. So basically, anything that triggers a dopamine response, I'm trying to get rid of. And one of the big things, caffeine, social media. We'll get into both of those in just a second. And doing polyphasic sleeping, so I'm sleeping very little, which is going fantastic, by the way. Anyone who tells you they need 8 hours, you don't. You just don't. And yeah, so I'm just sharing my life experiences. So I want to hop right in and just talk about social media. And so I've been phasing out of it for a while, and I've gone on bouts of using social media very hard and not using social media at all, both professionally and personally. And, you know, I'm sure you've seen the Netflix documentary, The Social Dilemma. I watched half of it. Basically, suffice it to say that social media causes a dopamine response, aka it addicts you to it. And basically, there's software engineers out there who further help you dive down the path of addiction as it pertains to social media, which I get, right? Is I don't know. You don't have to use their shit. Oh, sorry. You don't have to use their poop. You just don't. Right? You can turn off your Facebook. Done. So whatever they want to do with their own product is their business, as long as we live in a capitalistic society, or we give the right for someone to creatively create something. You know, what you want to do with it is your own call. But when I've gotten off social media this time around, and granted it's only been a couple days, but by and large, before that, I stopped using social media quite a bit. You know, I was never really a Facebook user. Instagram was my poison of choice, and for various reasons. Partially because of that, on Facebook, I follow a lot of people I know. On Instagram, I mostly follow people I don't know, so I had more control over the content. Most of the time, it was like fitness related, business related, positivity, motivational related, or humor related, and very few personal people I actually knew. And I would constantly go through my list and follow or unfollow people. just, I didn't feel like they were serving me in a positive light. So, Instagram was my poison choice. But Instagram has a rabbit hole of its own, because it is notorious for, um, like IG models, like people posting, butt and booby pics, which, being a male, a married male, can send you down a rabbit hole of death and despair. Just being honest, right? There's no good reason for you to have easy access, being a man, to booby and butt shots, even if they're covered. It's just not going to serve you if you want to be a good man, a good human, a good father, and a good husband. It's just, you can't look at that sort of thing and not be desensitized to it and or aroused by it from a straight male's perspective, at least. So, a lot of times I would hop on the IG, and, although, I was, if I just looked at my feed, I was seeing things that made sense, but hop over to the Discover page. I can't not see boobies or butt shots on my Discover page. It just can't happen. And it sends you down a rabbit hole, the whole, I won't get into it, at least today, but, it's a gateway drug to pornography, in my opinion. It just is. I remember being a kid, and by kid, I actually don't know how old I was, but the closest thing I would ever see to anything like that, pre-internet, was when the JCPenney's catalog would come out, and my mom wasn't looking, and I'd go to like the bra and undies page for girls, and I was like, oh, ooh, ooh, right? I don't know if you did that. Maybe I'm the only male boy who did that, but growing up, I remember that, and I was like, woo, that's crazy, because pre-internet age, right, we really didn't have access to pornography. I mean, unless, your crazy uncle, which I don't live near any crazy uncles. Your crazy uncle was, giving you a Playboy or Penthouse or something like that. Or, there was the good old Skinamax. So HBO and Cinemax at night. You guys know what I'm talking about. So that was the closest thing we had to access to, booby and butt pics and or pornography growing up. So I can at least tell you from my perspective, that's what I struggled with most from the Instagram perspective, because you can't be a good human constantly surrounded by temptation, right? I'm fallible. I have flaws. I am a man with desires, primal, carnal. And it's important to understand that. And it's also important to understand that, here's the thing, if you want to go on a really strict diet, don't have any junk food in the house. The best thing you can do for yourself. Being around that temptation will lead you to crack, right? Why would you not do heroin, but you have heroin in the house? Doesn't make sense to me. Get it out. Get it out of the house. That's a sure way. When you have barriers to entry for yourself, if I don't have any junk food and I want to eat junk food, now I'm going to have to make the conscious decision. I got to put on my clothes. I got to drive to the grocery store. I got to pay dollars to get this junk food instead of just having it in my fridge or freezer. So that's my whole thing, at least myself, with Instagram there, and primarily why I had gotten away from Instagram in general, because it pushed too much in front of me that I didn't want to see, and when I saw it, it was just, it would awaken a demon, so to speak. Um, so it took me a long time to not necessarily figure that out, but come to terms with it, that it just wasn't serving me, because we always try to make self justifications as to, oh, but there's these other things, and I don't really look at them that often, and blah 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 blah. Instead of just going and say, hey, get rid of it. It's not serving you in the long term. The negative consequences and ramifications that come with those consequences are too great for the upside that it does bring. Right? It's like a double-edged sword. Like, yeah, it's cool on this end, but the negative things ends in divorce, right? Because it's a gateway drug if you're truly honest about things. And I just feel like people aren't really honest with themselves, and they make self justification about those things. So Um, Beyond that, getting off social media this time with the perspective of it's an addiction, and when you're on your phone and or social media or basically any screen, is that it is a total dopamine rush, right? It's feeding an addiction because that those things happen when you see your screen. You get notifications. You're looking at things. You see pictures of people on beaches or even pictures with other families and their kids. It sparks joy and happiness. It's a cool edited photo, and it's just this rush, whether you realize it or not. It is physiologically and psychologically speaking, scientifically speaking, of course. It's an addiction, and it feeds that addiction. And so now, when I'm around other people who are on their phones, Matt is burning up in here. I need to take off my socks too. It's getting hot in the sauna. So when you come at it from that perspective, and I see other people on their devices, it is so clear that these people are addicted, and it is really sad. And it's just, to me at least, it's a super benevolent light shown on social media and what it currently is. And it's just very eye opening. Not only that, but I feel like I have much more clarity and I think much more freely. I just, I don't think good new creative ideas come from watching other people. I think you can learn things from other people. I think they can send you on a direction. But I think when you self internalize things and I'm getting some nose flow going on, and you constantly critically self analyze and reflect and interpret things with a free mind without the construct of operating in other people's confines, it just allows you and enables you to think freely and openly and honestly. And that's the beautiful thing about, not reading the news, not reading articles, not looking at social media. And if you want to find the truth about something, what it implores you to do is, instead of going on a BuzzFeed news article that you saw posted on Facebook, is not that you say, let's research the matter. Let's go to PubMed, let's go to Google Scholar, let's look at some of these things and critically analyze some of these reports and interpret the data and make it make sense and maybe create our own hypotheses based on that interpretation of data. So that's one beautiful thing that I'm finding about getting off social media, with knowing that I am doing this as a dopamine detox and not saying I'm taking a break from social media because it's making me feel bad right now, but I'm getting off social media because I believe it's an addiction and I'm trying to overcome that addiction. And mind you, I'm not a heavy social media user. I could look at let me actually pull up my screen time because I actually have it on my phone. The beautiful thing about Face Unlock is it still works with your sunglasses on. It's like it knows you're in full blown party mode. All right, so let's see. Is it under? I thought it was. Maybe let's just do a good old fashioned search. Screen. Springtime. Here we go. See all activity. How do I go back over the week? Ooh, my daily screen time was 3 hours and 17 minutes. It was down 64% from the last thing. So if you can see that there, and you'll notice the big block of that is social networking. And if you look down to what it is in my social networking is, hold on, you see messages right there, and then YouTube and SoundCloud. So social media is not actually even on there, aside from YouTube, which is pretty cool. So another interesting thing I've found from getting off social media is it actually makes me more social. So what I mean by that is, like, let's say I hear a cool song, or this is a really good two really good examples. One, is that I watched the UFC fights yesterday because I I love watching good fights. Khabib, shout out to Khabib, man. That was a great moment in sports history. Your career, your legacy, that the moment you had when you won. So, but what I wanted to do is, dude, I was like, I know I just got off social media, but I really want to post something about Khabib and how great he is. And I felt like Stephen Covey, Quadrant One type stuff, is that it was really urgent and really important when in fact it wasn't at all urgent nor important. I mean, he did his accomplishment, and hey, I mean, no one follows me on social media anyway, so who was I going to post to 5 people that didn't really care anyways? So, but for some reason, I did it, and yesterday I talked about nonchalant ego posting, and I would actually classify that as a nonchalant ego posting. Uh, because what I would do is I would say, hey, this is a great guy, blah, 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 blah. But that's just because he falls in line with like my morals and ethics of what a sports person should be, like humble and blah, blah, blah. So I would post it as kind of a reflection of myself, although I was raising someone else up. And, I thought it was a cool moment. Really, it was a nonchalant ego post. And once I put things in that perspective, like A, no one cares about what I post anyways, and B, that it was a self-serving post, I was like, man, why do I even care? And then the other thing is, so I went to a gym yesterday. So I've been doing basically at home or in office workouts, just body weight stuff, pull-ups, push-ups, lunges, that kind of thing. And I actually went to a gym yesterday because I was like, it's been so long. It would be really nice to just go get in a decent, solid workout. So, I noticed without being in a gym for 2 months, I'm just as strong as I ever was without lifting heavy weights. Just as strong in 2 months' time, just doing body weight stuff. Uh, the other thing is, bro, I'm just going to be honest. The lighting in this gym was epic. And the selfies that you could take were next level. So, I took a picture and, I do this sometimes too, is that instead of like posting a shirtless selfie pic to social media, because who really cares and what am I trying to say, is that a lot of times I'll just text them straight to my wife. And the other thing on the Khabib thing is that instead of like posting that to social media, it made me want to reach out to some of my friends who also watch MMA and say, oh, did you see this? Like, that was such a great sports moment. So, not having social media and just posting it and then responding to comments in it for the likes, it actually made me realize that this whole thing is actually making me more social because I'm actually taking the time to reach out to specific people that I know that they would appreciate these things I'm trying to talk about or share. So that's kind of the cool thing I've noticed this time with taking a break from social media, with the emphasis that this is an addiction and this is a dopamine detox, and not just being like, oh, I'm taking a break from social media, because I think we all do that. It's pretty toasty in here. I think I'm getting some armpit sweat lightly, but it's there, I assure you. I'm not supposed, I don't know if I'm supposed to look into the camera in these things, but it looks really weird because I'm just looking into like a little reticle eye. Like, it's not a human eye, it's a machine eye. And it just feels awkward. And I see a lot of other YouTubers just stare directly in the camera. How does that make you feel? I don't know. I think it's weird. Because a lot of times when I talk to people, I'll actually just kind of zone off into space so I can focus on what I'm trying to say. And when I listen to them, that's when I'll look at them because I'm looking at their body language and those sorts of things. And then sometimes I will look back to them when I talk if I want to make like specific eye contact to bring home a point. So yeah, I think the whole looking in cameras things is really weird considering I'm staring directly into a robotic eye right now, which is cool in and of itself. But so I mean, the other thing I was going to say too is just about working out. Man, I've wasted so much of my life in a gym. I'm regretful for it. Now, I do think there are some merits to working out a gym with heavy weights, but if you are not taking steroids, I would say in 3 to 5 years of a solid workout plan, you're probably at 90% of what your body can attain. And beyond that is too much wear and tear on the joints to grow any bigger or gain any strength. We just have genetically predefined set limits, and we just have to operate within those confines. I'm a 6 foot male. I'm never going to be 220 pounds and lean. It's just not going to happen for me unless I'm on the juice, and I don't want to get on the juice. So, but it just goes to show you, buckle down on your diet. 10 minutes of exercise a day, 7 to 10 minutes of exercise a day is what I'm averaging, and I'm in really good shape. I mean, I'm probably 5 to 8% body fat, and I know my resting heart rate is in the high 40s. Um, I'm interested to get some blood work done, and just see what my blood say. So maybe I'll do that and share them with you guys because I'm interested to see how just body weight training. I don't do any cardio, but a lot of times, when I do pull-ups, push-ups, lunges, ab stuff, and I do just circuit training as hard as I can for 7 to 10 minutes. And so I think I have a lot of cardio-esque benefits from that, as far as raising the heart rate and keeping it elevated for sustained time while doing, compound movements and actually, working the good old muscles. So that's it for today. As you can see, I have my guitar back there. I'm probably gonna play some music right now and work on the old vocal talent so I can go to Nashville and get me a contract and sing with Blake Shelton. And maybe we'll see you on stage one day in the Grand Ole Opry.